folks, David Dorman here with Century 21 with Miss Susie Carlton from Element Home Loans.
Hello.
We wanted to talk about something. We were trying to figure out, what do we want to talk about in this video? And I think she hit on something that is the biggest myth, I think, in real estate. And that's the fact that you have to have 20% down to purchase real estate. And that's simply not true. So can you elaborate on that?
Not at all, yes. Most of our buyers now, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, and I don't know if you realize, you're a first-time buyer if you haven't owned in 3 years. Mm-hmm. You can get in with as little as 3% down.
Mm-hmm. And that's conventional. That's not FHA.
That's conventional. FHA is 3.5% down. You don't have to be a first-time buyer. We also 5% down conventional if you have owned in the last 3 years or currently own. So there are a lot of great low down payment options. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have even gone and made it to where the rates are more affordable for these lower down payment borrowers. So it used to be you'd have maybe a higher rate. Now they've made the rates more in line for lower down payments.
So I know a lot of sellers out there, they don't want to touch an FHA loan. Well, can you kind of speak to what their perspective?
I don't get, yes, why? And I don't understand that because FHA borrowers a lot of times are able to, they can qualify at a higher debt to income, so we can qualify more buyers on that program. It makes them more qualified because they do qualify at a higher debt ratio. But the other beauty is, I think there's a perception in real estate that the appraisal is harder on FHA.
Appraisal, the inspection.
And my husband's an appraiser, and they basically are the same appraisal now. The only difference is he has to stick his head and shoulders up into the attic and do a visual of that. Everything else is the same.
I can't tell you how many realtors out there will not take an FHA loan because of that. They have this perception. Oh, well, they're going to just charge them. Like,
no.
I haven't had it. I had it happen, I think, at the very beginning of my career many years ago. And I haven't really seen it since. And it's kind of almost... It's what is it? It's discriminatory.
Discriminatory. And the other beauty of FHA, the rates are better on FHA. So conventional loans have tiers to their rates. FHA, if you have a lower credit score, you still get a great rate. So those buyers can get a better rate, qualify higher. It's a strong loan.
Yeah, I think the more people hear that, I think that sellers shoot themselves in the foot by not taking an FHA
I agree.
loan. I understand the concept that a conventional loan with 20% down seems like a stronger loan. But you don't know that FHA person doesn't have more money. And if you have an appraisal issue, sometimes the buyer has to come to the table with a little more cash. If they're putting all that 20% down,
right,
and they're tapped out, and there's an appraisal issue, you're kind of
still the same. Yeah.
One. But an FHA person, if they're only putting 3.5%. They just,
Yeah, and a lot of buyers just don't want to use up all their money. They may have 20% to put down, but they don't. They want to keep that money. I mean, we've got high inflation right now. Costs are higher. They don't want to have all their money tied up in their home. So
yeah, and an FHA person can do more than 3.5%.
Right,
down.
A lot of times they can.
They can put that money down to get their mortgage amount down, or get a lower monthly payment. Well, it's a huge myth about both of those things we talked about. But I tell you what, I know you all have questions out there. So when you have questions, give us a call, 407-782-7856 for her, and 407-948-8295 for me, or just go to www.daviddorman.com or susiecarlton.com. That's Susie and a C for Carlton. All right, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.